This is the Tom Bigby Tales, and I'm your host, Shannon Evans. I write about a small town in northeast Mississippi called Columbus, and sometimes I write about the surrounding areas as far out as the entire state. Today's episode is called Where's the Money Going to Come From? Nancy Luke Carpenter, the rapidly outgoing director of the Columbus Convention and Visitors Bureau, was recently made vice president of the board of trustees at the Mississippi Department of Archives and History, which brings me to an ethical problem Carpenter seems to have with her position there. So let's get into it. In 2014 or 2015, the MDAH awarded the city of Columbus a community heritage preservation grant for renovations to their 115-year-old city hall. The MDAH grant was for $500,000. The project would actually require about $2 million to complete. So a previous $75,000 grant mothballed from a failed rescue of the Queen City Hotel, which was torn down, was redesignated to repair and replace windows and doors at City Hall. The state legislature appropriated another $500,000 initially, and then some creative funding filled in the rest. For any grant of this size, the MDAH requires an architect is involved. The bidding arrived, and lo and behold, an out-of-town architecture firm from Meridian got the job. LPK Architects. The principal architect was a Mississippi State alumni, originally from Neshoba County, who grew up near Union, Mississippi, named Robert Eugene Luke. Now, Luke may be a common name, and it may even occur to you that you know who this person's related to, but let me lay it out for you. Nancy Luke Carpenter, she married a carpenter, Carol Carpenter, grew up in Union, Mississippi as Nancy Ray Luke. I don't believe in consequences. Anyway, Nancy Luke Carpenter's country cousin, Robert Eugene Luke, got the bid and work began. According to a September 25th Dispatch article, LPK or Robert Luke's architecture firm was hired initially to do the interior design of the City Hall renovations. Their plan was a $1.5 million restoration. LPK would get $575,000 of that $1.5 million to oversee the project. In other words, over 1/3 of the grant money would go to the architecture firm. LPK then partnered with what would become the now troubled J5 Company of Columbus, an engineering and environmental consulting company that was closely related to the mayor at the time, Robert Smith. The work lasted from October 15th of 2015 the work lasted from October of 2015 through April of 2017. LPK Architecture and J5 Engineering earned the Mississippi Heritage Award for their work. However, by 2018, leaks began to appear on the ceiling of City Hall. Previously, during renovation, LPK Architects maintained the roof needed no repairs or replacement. Clearly, that was not the case. At some point, the city considered suing Luke and his architecture firm. Now, let's fast forward to 2020 and the Columbus Convention and Visitors Bureau. Nancy Luke Carpenter, a member of the MDAH Board of Trustees and the director of the Columbus Convention and Visitors Bureau, obtained a grant of $35,000 to repair the Tennessee Williams Center from MDAH. For some reason, the repairs never began. The porch slopes somewhat toward the house because a ledge was never properly built on the house for the porch to essentially hang on it. But it is a negligible issue. Where the main issue is the steps. They do not appear to have been made with pressure-treated lumber, a requirement in our very wet environment. As the porch continued to have issues with further degradation of the front steps, Carpenter applied for an additional grant of $158,423 from a Community Heritage Preservation grant with the MDAH, the same organization where she sits on the board of trustees and is currently its vice president, for front porch repairs and repainting. I presume she removed herself from the voting, but that remains to be seen. I also presume that this project for repainting is a complete repainting of the Tennessee Williams building. It does not appear to address the broken and rotted siding on the building or the broken and missing gingerbread on the building. The grant does cover the paint on the building, hopefully, since the current color is mustard and puke colored. The details of the grant are most interesting. The grants, plural, require a 20% matching funding. That's $31,684.60 for the $158,000 plus grant, and an additional $7,000 to match with the $35,000 grant from the 2021 grant that was originally awarded for the porch. Upfront matching, because the grant is for over $100,000, it also requires an architect overseeing the work. It also requires that the project is paid upfront and reimbursed after completion, after MDAH experts inspect the work. Prior to any work beginning on the project, a total of $232,107 must be raised to begin work. The Columbus Cultural Heritage Foundation, also known as the Tennessee Williams Building or the CCHF, currently has a 2024 budget of $100,000. $50,000 of that has already been requested for utility bills and salaries for docents and the new attorney's retainer. There is no money in savings at the CCHF allotted to this work. No money is currently in the CCHF budget to pay their newly hired director, Nancy Luke Carpenter, who has moved to the foundation as its director, as she is outgoing from the CVB as their director. In other words, she can't use the grant to pay her salary or the salary of anyone who oversees the management of the grant per the MDAH grant guidelines. The only salary money that can come out is actually not a salary, but a fee to an architect. The CVB has already said they were not giving additional monies to the foundation beyond their current approved budget of $100,000. They also have said they were not renegotiating the CCHF budget at this late date. So how does Nancy Carpenter propose to pay for this much needed work on the Tennessee Williams building up front? Does she plan to apply to the legislature and the mayor? The state is broke, and we know the city is broke. Or will she do what most organizations have to do, which is get a line of credit at the bank secured by grant letters? Probably not. My bet is she gives the money back after making a drama-filled presentation to the Board of Supervisors and City Council, blaming their appointments to the CVB board for her failure. Who knows? Maybe she will actually fill out a loan application in the end. But that would require effort, something she's not noted for. Until next time, this is the Tom Bigby Tales, and I'm Shannon Evans.